some stretches there. I'm going to grab the list and I'm going to go around to my. All right.
No, thank you.
Yep. No, I'm not kidding. When you were standing up there, I was like, okay, the man started on Webster. Okay, then good. I just go over and see if your wife can dress me.
You know what, that came out wrong.
Okay, hey, we're going to start in a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure you signed in for these various speaking at the podium did so for the correct one, because I have 4 people signed in to talk about general 5 minutes at the podium. I got Dan Reardon. Dan? Was that a mistake? So you're not going to be speaking? I think that says Dan Reardon. You're not going to be speaking? Yes. All right. I got Greg Cummings, just regular speaking, right? I've got John Marco, regular speaking, and Don White, regular speaking. As opposed to Megan Santa at the public hearing about the sewer tie-in.
Yes.
Is that what you want to talk about? Oh, then you all did sign the right thing. Does anybody else want to speak either for the public hearing on the sewer tie-in or for when we do the regular 5 minutes open to the public for anything?
Wait, is there a sewer tie-in? I was just looking for offense approval.
For what?
Offense approval.
Oh, Megan, I know
And
exactly what
sewer
you're for. So
not
you,
that.
gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It is confusing. I mean, we've tried to figure out, maybe we get one of those boards that digitally goes across, like, hey, Megan, you know, you're here for this, you don't have to sign in, we know what you're here for. Is that in the budget? Sure. Okay. Would anybody else like to speak tonight at the podium? Don't you say yes. All right. I think we got it. Unless anybody sneaks in, and then we'll do what we got to do with that. 7:30. Mark, I'm looking at you. You're the man. You tell me when. Okay. Wow. Well, welcome everybody to the Thursday, October 3rd, 2024 Webster Town Board meeting. I'll bring it to order for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Denise, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flannery.
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Present.
Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilwoman Nguyen. Here. Councilwoman Wright. Here. Town Attorney Genesi.
Present. Okay, well, our first item up tonight is a public hearing to consider an addition to the Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, specifically the Woodard Road extension. Now, before I mail it down and start the public hearing, I think this was properly, we did a resolution a few weeks ago to advertise it in the Webster Herald. And Art, I think, Art, you might want to say a few words before we open the public hearing about what this is pertaining to.
We would. So, thanks Supervisor. So this is a extension to the folks on Woodard Road, 6 homes. That is sorely needed. I would like to honestly take this moment to thank the team that has got it back to this point. And that team includes the residents, Charlie Genesi, Paul Adams, and Mary Ann Lamb, to really keep this thing going and get it back to where it should be. So hopefully we have no more hurdles and we keep going.
Thanks, Art. I know that we've talked ad nauseum about this, that here are people that want to connect to our sewer system to get out of septic. And is this the same past situation with the state having a very outdated rule on this?
It really is. It was, I will say it was troublesome. We gone back and forth. Thankfully, they had someone new step in on their end. It was helpful. Again, a bit of a struggle, but they were helpful and really got us back to where we need to be. I think Charlie can probably talk on a little bit more. He's gone back and forth with the state attorney.
Right now.
Well, hopefully that explains to the people in attendance and also watching at home what this is about. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and at least 5 minutes ago, who had signed in to speak at the public hearing was nobody. But in the last 5 minutes, the people have walked into the room. Is there anybody that walked in late that wants to take the podium to speak about this Woodard Road sewer tie? Going once, going twice. So I am going to close the public hearing, Charlie. Does that seem appropriate at this point? Okay, the public hearing is officially closed. Done. I mean, I don't think we have a resolution tonight.
No, I was going to ask that question. I know that we don't usually, we don't make a habit of passing resolutions the same night as the public hearing, but since this has gone on for so long, and no one spoke against it tonight, certainly, is there any reason we can't make this resolution this evening?
I'm sure I can prepare one. This is actually about, I don't know, Art, how many have we had in this?
Oh gosh, numerous over.
This has been going on for about 2.5 years, so
Yeah.
we're set, I think. We may have to come back, I think, to go to another resolution to go back to the controller again, so
Agreed.
there would be nothing wrong with the town board passing a resolution, which I will prepare on the town board. Just, again, this is something we had before. It's the same group of people, the same property. Same reason.
Process.
So would it be as simple as
I
I
just
would
say,
make a motion
just
to
make a motion.
consider the addition
Right.
to the consolidated sanitary sewer district, specifically the Woodard Road extension?
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn, Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
I think that was a common sense move, based on
Well,
what.
as long as we're on a roll, let's get this thing
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Yep.
Does this require seeker? Does that require seeker? For the time?
I think we did see it around there. If you want to, it would be like down.
I'm just asking if it's needed or not. If you said it was already done, then that's fine.
I believe, I don't have that, I don't have the public hearing resolution, but if you would like to add that to the amendment or a separate motion.
I'll make a motion that the addition to the consolidated sanitary sewers, specifically the 6 homes at the Woodard Road extension, is a type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Cleary,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn.
Aye.
It's gotta be something about that seat, because Bill Abbott was our seeker king. We might have our new seeker queen. Long.
Well, I have experience from
I know you do, I like it.
That's right, it goes from.
Yeah,
And
no, that's great.
everything on the planning board, even the sign needs
Yeah,
seeker.
no,
Figured this
yeah.
may.
Okay, well, the next agenda item up tonight, I've said it many times, is my favorite part of the meeting. This is the open to the public, to take the podium for up to 5 minutes to speak about anything your heart desires. And we have 3 people that signed in tonight to speak, and we'll go in the order that they signed in. Greg Cummings, you are first.
Good evening, my name is Greg Cummings. I live on Granger Circle here in Webster. The only thing I wanted to talk about tonight is Proposal 1, which is going to be on the ballot. And it's really just to hopefully educate people that they ought to look into this before they walk in and just vote based upon what it comes across as. I'm just going to read a letter to the editor, so I'm not ad-libbing here. And it talks about Proposal 1 will appear on the back of the ballot in November. It's essential that you understand the many negative effects this could result in if Prop 1 is passed. The New York State Legislature has deemed it the Equal Rights Amendment. Who's not for equal rights? We all are, just about. But that's not the end of the story. Many voters will stop right there when they hear that tagline, or when they go in and read the Equal Rights Amendment. They won't read it, they'll just vote for it. And the dangerous part is there are a couple of things that we want to bring to people's attention. It's also being sold as the abortion bill. And Albany is very good, as is our federal government, at naming things and driving things based upon what's popular. No matter what poll you look at, more than 60 or 70% of Americans, right or wrong, want abortion. I'm not going to argue that fact. That's a personal decision. But they're selling it as the abortion bill. It's very similar to what happens in Congress when you have, let's say, funding for the Ukrainian war. $65 billion. Well, what other people do then, senators and assembly people, is they start putting in the earmarks and the other things that people won't vote against because they want the big thing. And so it's being sold as the abortion bill because Albany knows more than 60% want abortion. That's fine. What they're not telling you is that there's a lot more things to it. So if you want abortion and you're willing to vote this, there are other things you are going to give up. And we just want people to be aware before they go in and vote. Examine your conscience, vote what you want. But I am part of the Coalition to Protect Kids in New York. And I ended up volunteering because there were 2 things in this that totally irritated me. That it's trying to be slipped by without anyone knowing about it. So I started to volunteer, as have many people. And the 2 things that we're really looking at is we're trying to educate the public by having them get together and giving them information. We call them a town hall. We have one every Tuesday at 6 o'clock on a Zoom call if anyone ever wants to join. Great thing about a Zoom call is you can hang up if you don't like it, and no one knows. So we currently have an equal rights amendment in the New York State Constitution, and it protects things like race, creed, religion, color, etc. But there are 12 new categories that are being added. And interestingly, even though it's being sold as the abortion bill, the word abortion does not even show up in this amendment. It's kind of odd. What we're really concerned about is two things. One is the word age. That is going to become a protected category. And age, at my age, I think of people not firing me because I'm getting older, or not allowing me to work because I'm getting older. That certainly is part of it. But what is not being portrayed is age also goes down to 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 12-year-old. It's from first breath to last breath. And that's one of our biggest concerns, because if you have a child that wants to do something, whatever it is, and you say no, and they're 11 years old, they can claim discrimination. Now, many parents won't face that because of how you brought up your children. But there are some parents who do face that. And in fact, not only will they face the child claiming it, they will also face people that are arguing on behalf of that child. So if this gets into the Constitution...
Greg and I, we're at 5, so we're at 5 minutes, but keep going. Finish up, because you got a second one, so I don't want to cut you off mid-sentence.
Okay, yep.
You got the age, what's the second one?
Second one is adding sex to discrimination. Not transgender, none of that stuff. However, that is part of this. But it says you cannot discriminate on sex. So that means by law, by the Constitution, a boy, you and me, I can say I want to join the girls softball team. They cannot stop me. Legally, they cannot stop me. And again, we're not talking transgender issues, none of that. And that's personally as a father, my daughter's grown, but she now plays adult sports, and there are men who play in the adult sport, roller derby. And I don't like it. And I will leave it at that. I would say...
Just for clarification, Greg,
Yes.
not only can boys play in women's sports, they can also go into the women's or girls' locker room.
That's true. That's true. And also all girls schools or all boys schools can be abolished.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Greg.
Charge 1 Should have read the letter.
I think we all agree that what Greg was saying was pretty interesting. And I would have loved to say, go on for 15 minutes.
I understand.
But I know how that's, because then when somebody's up there who maybe it's not interesting to everybody or whatever, why don't I let them go 15 minutes?
Well, you're more than welcome to come back, Greg, and talk on this topic
Sure.
again.
Thank
I believe it's a very important topic, and thank you for speaking on that.
Really just trying to get people to understand
Yes.
where they walk.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
Now, speaking of going 15 minutes, Counselor John DeMarco is next. I'm busting your chops, John. I know you won't try to push the 5 minutes.
My topic's going to be a little lighter than that one. Good evening, members of the board. It's an interesting experience because sitting to the left of the supervisor at least one night a month, I didn't realize that the speaker can't see, barely see the last board member on the far end. So it's good to stand up here. Hillsborough Cove is my address, and as I just alluded to, I'm the Deputy Town Attorney for the town of Webster. I'm also the senior partner in the DeMarco Taylor Law Group. And for transparency, I'm also, my law firm was one of the firms that provided a response to the RFP from the town of Webster. which is relevant to item 5 on the business, or the regular town business agenda this evening, which is the resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign an engagement agreement for town legal services. And my comments are going to be addressed primarily to the 3 board members that were not part of the committee that has made a recommendation relative to the selection of the law firm. And of course, that's Mr. Cahill, Ms. Nguyen, and Ms. Wright. And the reason why I'm addressing it to the 3 of you primarily is also because the town decided, frankly unbeknownst to me at the time, that the RFP process was the process that they decided to use to go about determining what would be best suited for the town. I didn't realize at the time that there was a resolution back in October of last year, 23, that certainly allows this to be exempt from that process, and the town was not required to do an RFP for these services. And the reason why that's relevant is because I have made attempts to speak with Ms. Wright, Mr. Cahill, and Ms. Nguyen, and they, I think all each individually viewed, at least my perception was that they were handcuffed from speaking with me regarding this process, because the RFP process requires that they don't, because I'm a prospective vendor, but in reality, the RFP process was not necessary, and they could have been able to speak with me as one of the prospective law firms. For those of you that are unfamiliar with my background, very briefly, I have been a municipal attorney for 14 years, 9 with the town of Roundabout, 5 with the town of Webster. I've also served as town justice for an additional 8 years and acting judge with the New York State Supreme Court for a decade. My firm also practices in municipal matters for individual clients. I've been practicing law close to 40 years now. For the last 18 months, I've been involved with the town board at the request of the town supervisor and the town attorney to assist the town in a backlog of legal matters that the supervisor wanted to essentially enumerate, pick up speed, and close things that had been going on for a while. It's certainly not a comment against Mr. Genesi, who's probably one of the finest municipal lawyers in the state of New York. I know the town is sorry to see him go. But we were asked to participate. We have participated for the last 18 months at their request, obviously on the basis of our performance over the last 5 years as attorneys for the town of Webster, and I suspect because of my almost 40 years of being in and around these issues. My ask this evening is simply this. I would encourage the town board to vote to either table or workshop this matter so that the 3 members that were not part of that committee have an opportunity to review what we have reviewed over the last 18 months, not only with respect to the supervisor's matters that he wanted to get up to speed on, but a considerable amount of time in determining what Attorney Genesi has been engaged in over the last 30 years, the amount of time that he spent, the expertise that was required in all those matters, and trying to understand from a budgetary standpoint, because, again, with all due respect to Mr. Genesi, the compensation and those hourly rates were extremely antiquated. And we were asked to participate in that process, and I think there's a lot of information that came from that that you may not have been privy to, given the amount that was shared with you or not shared with you. My second ask is that the town take some action to unshackle those board members that have not participated in this process.
Well, I'm having fun tonight. Now you're at 5:05, so John, if you could...
15 seconds, Mr. Supervisor. To unshackle those board members so they can engage directly with those individuals that may be part of the process in attempting to become the successor to Mr. Genesi. I am available for the balance of the evening when you get to this item should you wish to ask me further questions. Thank you for the opportunity and the time.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
All right, and last up tonight, unless anybody had come in and said if anybody else wants to talk beyond Don White, who is a town resident, but Sawyer, he's also the village attorney. Don?
Good evening. Again, Don White, I live on Brook Tree Lane in Webster. Most all of you know me. I grew up in Webster. I graduated from Thomas High School back when it was called R.L. Thomas High School. I went to Flaherty's when it was called Flags. I've been involved in town government for almost 40 years. I was a member of this board back in the late 80s and early 90s. Before that, I was a deputy town attorney serving for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'm currently, for the last 10 years or so, the attorney for the Village of Webster. When I looked at tonight's agenda and I saw a resolution to sign an engagement agreement for town council legal service, and I clicked the button to look at that agreement, frankly, I was shocked and very disappointed to see that it was not a local attorney that the town is seeking to hire. Like I said, I've been involved in this for years, and I can tell you, it's always been a local town resident attorney that has represented the village or the town of Webster for as far back as I can remember. You know, with Herb Stern and Chris Coterie, Jerry Matrano, and Charlie Jassy. And I think it is a grave mistake to go away from that, including the deputy attorneys, who are also, by and large, always town residents. And there's, and I understand you went through this RFP process, but it's not just dollars and cents. And this may be cheaper than what you've been paying for legal services, but some of the benefits you can't get through an RFP if it's someone local. They're accessible. They live here. If they need to attend a meeting, they can show up on a moment's notice. If you hire an individual, you're going to get more individualized attention and service than if you hire a firm. I don't know, there's like 9 attorneys in this firm. Are you going to get the same attorney all the time? Who knows? In addition, if the attorney is a resident of the town, they know the town. They live here. They got some skin in the game, so to speak. I was always in favor of the more police officers you could hire that live in the town, the better, because they know the town. Same with your attorneys. And lastly, there are political reasons to hire someone local. I'm not going to get into those political reasons because you probably know them. But, like it or not, town government, politics are a part of town government like any government. And it's unavoidable. And those are some considerations that I ask you to please take to heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Okay, our next agenda item tonight is to review the minutes from 2 weeks ago, the September 19th workshop, and also the regular town board meeting. I reviewed both of them. I make a motion to approve the workshop minutes from September 19th.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
I was not present, therefore I will abstain, although I will say I did watch it.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Abstain, I was not here either.
And I think we're going to get a repeat of the abstains at the regular town board meeting. I reviewed those minutes and I make a motion we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Wright.
Abstain.
All right, next up, I think, Jennifer, did you do the bills?
Jenny was so kind, given my personal situation caring for my parents. She went to the town to approve the bills
Great.
for me this month.
And she did for me 2 weeks ago. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome, Mr. Tebow. I'm glad everything.
I'm sorry. I have reviewed the bill and everything seemed to be in order. I make a motion to pay the bills, please.
Second.
Councilman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And first of all, welcome back, Paul. We missed you.
Thank you, Tom.
I did review
Good to be back.
the warrants submitted by Paul Adams, our Director of Finance. Make a motion, we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And I also reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, Director of Finance, and made a motion, we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Okay, Megan,
Yes.
and,
This is Eric.
oh, Eric, well, how you doing? Our next resolution, number 4 on the agenda, is to consider approval of a license agreement to locate a fence and a shed within both a town sanitary sewer easement and a town drainage easement at 1123 Stone Gate Drive. Wow, did you guys luck out? You have both a sewer easement and a drainage easement on your property?
Yep.
Lucky.
I know.
I know that we got letters, Art, I think from you and also from Pat Stevens in Highway, who oversees drainage. And I think they were fine with this fence in the shed. So, unless anybody has some questions on the board or whatever.
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion for approval of a license agreement to locate a fence and a shed within both the town sanitary sewer easement and a town drainage easement at 1123 Stonegate Drive, tax ID number 080.17-3-24.
I'll second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And you have your new best friend, have you already talked to them? Okay. We're up to number 5.
I would like to make some,
Hang on one second, were you gonna make a motion?
I was planning on making a motion. I want to say I want to thank those who came out to speak tonight about this. And making this motion is somewhat bittersweet because the man sitting to my right has been to my right for many years, and I have worked with him for a long time. He has my absolute respect. I've also been privileged to call him a friend, and I want to say, we're not going to get too teary about this because you'll be here a while longer. But it's been a great honor to work with Charlie, and he certainly deserves his retirement. So I would make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign an engagement agreement for town council legal services.
I
For
would
the
like to,
Webster General Municipal Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals legal services as of January 1st, 2025, with the inclusive Brightman PLCC. Is that your motion?
That is my motion.
And I'm going to second that. Before we do any further voting on that, Deneen, I want to just have some dialogue. So Jenny, you're going to have a chance to talk on this. I mean, we obviously had Counselor John DeMarco in and obviously Don White. So I just want to say that as starting off the dialogue on this before we vote on the motion that Patty made and I seconded. Charlie, I got to tell you something. I mean, I've really enjoyed the last 5 years getting to know you. He's taught me Latin, this and that. He is a gentleman, and I've really enjoyed working with him. And it was interesting because you probably remember about 2 years ago I said, Charlie, any functional organization has to have this conversation. Let's start talking succession. It's a tough conversation to start, but we started it. And I thought after Charlie's 20 plus years to the town and in this, he'd earned the right to be part of the planning of that succession. And Charlie also was able to educate me on what I thought was true, is that the complexity of the town legal issues in 2024 are far more complex than when you started that 30 years ago. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we are not the town that we were 30 or 40 years ago. We are a very different socioeconomic town. We have a lot more complex issues. And I gotta say that John DeMarco made a very good point, and I can't thank him enough, and also Kyle Taylor, who is not our deputy town attorney, but Kyle is our attorney to the planning board, because he can't be a deputy because he, as Don White said, he doesn't live in town. He lives in Victor, so we made him an attorney to the planning board, but not a deputy, because you gotta live in town. And the all hands on deck the last 18 months, as John DeMarco said. Charlie, I know, and a lot of this is because of the things going on in town, there's a lot of outstanding legal issues, all right? We're building a sewer plant, we're building a highway garage, we got all this stuff going on, and there's been a lot on your plate. And I had asked John DeMarco and Kyle Taylor, as W-2 employees of the town, just like Charlie is, can you help us? Can you help us, you know, your attorneys, and even though this isn't their specialty, municipal law, they were gracious in helping. And the interesting thing was, and I'm going to be very honest about this, is that because I felt a certain obligation, moral, whatever, that they were helping us outside the bandwidth of what they were hired to do, to be the zoning board and planning board attorney, that when we switched in January of 2023 from 2 planning board meetings a month and 2 zoning board meetings a month to 1, I said, you know, let's let sleeping dogs lie. There's no reason to talk about reducing their W-2 payroll to the taxpayers that we paid them prior to that, even though they were doing half the meetings, because they were also helping us on the general municipal stuff, as Councilor DeMarco had said. And I'll be forever grateful that they did that. It was an all hands on deck. Now on June 6th, well, 4 months ago, Charlie announced he's retiring. What transpired after June 6th, I'm going to hand the baton to, where is it? I'm going to hand the baton to Brayden Connard, who is our Director of Human Resources. He's going to explain what we've done in the last 4 months, once Charlie had announced he's retiring as of December 31st.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So as you were saying, on June 6th, Attorney Genesi publicly announced his intention to retire at the end of the year. And as you alluded to, for the prior 18 months, there had been succession planning discussions that took place, including all of the W-2 town attorney staff. So at that point, there had to be a decision made on how do we move forward. And so the town board authorized the town to issue an RFP. The RFP used the RFP template and model that the town has been using. And simultaneously, we also posted for an employee, because the study group that had been working on this did not know for sure what the best path forward was. Was it a full-time employee, a part-time employee, a boutique law firm, a major, large multi-service law firm, and they wanted to explore all options. And so those were posted in the RFP. It was posted on the town website, town social media, as well as the job posting, and proactively we sent the RFP to 22 local law firms that advertised that they practice in municipal law. And so they were given until June 28th to respond. So at the end of June 28th, we had no applicants for the position. So there were no attorneys inside of Webster or outside of Webster to apply for the position of town attorney as an employee.
So can I, Don White, you're an attorney who lives in Webster. Am I right to assume you did not apply for this position?
How is that relevant to this discussion?
I think I got my answer. All right. Well, because you took the podium and said you want a local attorney, you want a person like Charlie.
Why are we talking to
Tennessee.
someone in the audience when we're not supposed to be doing that?
So,
Well, due
we
to my
asked
age,
for
due to my
attorneys
age,
and
I
we
didn't
got
want to apply.
no replies. Is
Okay,
that
so
correct?
rules for everyone else.
Did we get any replies from attorneys, people?
No, there were 0
Thank
attorneys who applied to be an employee of the town as town attorney.
Okay.
There were, however, 7 law firms that submitted responses to the request for proposal. Those 7 were brought in front of the RFP review committee. 6.
And who was that committee?
The RFP review committee was Town Attorney Charlie Genesi, Town Supervisor Ron Flaherty, Deputy Town Supervisor Patty Cataldi, and myself. The RFP committee determined that 6 of the 7 were responsive. One of the responses did not answer the questionnaire and simply submitted hourly rates. The RFP had requested a fixed price bidding so that the town would know exactly what its annual legal expenses would be for the services. And so the RFP review committee looked at the criteria that were included in the publicly issued RFP as to what the selection criteria was for public procurement, and selected 3 to be invited to finalist interviews. The 3 firms were invited and made presentations to the RFP committee, and the RFP committee met and reviewed those presentations and unanimously ranked all 3 firms in the exact same order. Each person did on a blind ballot. And so based on the review of all factors, the RFP review committee rated the firm of Mancuso Brightman highest and unanimously recommends them to the town board to serve as counsel. The other 2 finalists were qualified and professional, but did not have the combination of expertise, experience, and cost to be rated as high as Mancuso Brightman. Mancuso Brightman understands the unique challenges faced by the town of Webster. They practice almost exclusively in municipal law. In fact, the firm was built for the purpose of municipal law. They represent several other municipalities, including the towns of Brighton and Rush and the village of Fairport. Their attorneys have previously represented the town of Victor. They had references from all 3 of those towns, plus the village of Fairport, in their responses. They have extensive experience providing legal counsel at ZBA, planning board, and town board meetings, as well as defending their municipal clients from litigation. And they have experience providing 24/7 support to town boards because governing is a 24/7 operation. The RFP committee was impressed with the depth and breadth of experience and expertise of their 3 attorney team that is part of a 7 municipal attorney practice. Each of our boards will have a single constant lead attorney with a scheduled backup available at a moment's notice. So on any given meeting night, planning, zoning, or town board, there will always be 2 attorneys available. They will have standing office hours for on-site availability at town hall, and will conduct monthly pre-board preparation meetings with staff. Their proposal also included educational and compliance training for citizen board members. Mancuso Brightman's experience representing a large town with a police department was another differentiating factor due to the specialized nature of law enforcement legal matters. They'll be providing a high-quality services consistent with the scope of work at the highly competitive fixed price rate of $145,000 a year. Any additional legal services that are approved by the town outside the scope will be billed at the discounted municipal rate of $250 per hour. The town's 2025 preliminary budget contains sufficient funding, and that represents the reasons why the RFP committee supported that. And I guess I would ask the town attorney, as a member of that committee, and as the person who's been representing the town for 26 years, if there was anything you wanted to add or highlight from the assessment that I gave on behalf of the committee.
No, it was a collaborative process. Each of us brought something different to it in terms of advising. And I think it was robust and as well done as you could do for something like this.
And right, and you did forward all of the information as well as the scoring rubric and all that was sent out to all of the board members, so they've all seen it, correct?
Yes, all board members have received the recommendation memorandum that goes through in detail the reasons. They've also received the rating form that is a public record of the rankings of the 3 finalists, and as well as a copy of the RFP, which of course was publicly posted earlier in the process.
And Brayden, as long as we got Paul here, and I think it can get confusing at times, we do RFPs or whatever, and it's municipal building projects, and we have to take the low bid on those. This is more of a professional service. Once we didn't have an actual person put their name in the hat to be the W-2 employee town attorney, once we saw that our only candidates for law firms, it was a professional service, and we have a little more latitude on, not taking the lowest bid. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Was this Mancuso, Brightland at 145,000 lowest of the 3 finalists?
No. Okay. And there was a question raised earlier about the RFP process. And so it's standard language in the town's RFP documents, as well as this one, as well as every municipal RFP that I've seen over my 33 years of government service, that firms and organizations that respond to RFPs are only allowed to make contact with a single point of contact. And that's specifically to prevent confusion and different information, basically an end around. And so that is best practice and in an RFP. And that's why you have an RFP committee. Otherwise, the town board would have to, for instance, evaluate all the ambulance proposals and every engineering proposal and such. It's standard practice to delegate these to committees.
So in this letter of engagement, under billing arrangement, expenses and disbursements, the sentence says, the firm is pleased to offer an aggregate annual retainer in the amount of $145,000. So my question is, retainers are typically, okay, this is what we're going to give you to retain you, and then bill against that $145,000. Is that yes? Or is it good? Does it work as a retainer or no?
No, it's a fixed price. It's a fixed price, $145,000. So if we, do tons of hours, or if we don't do tons of hours, it's $145,000 for the year.
So why is the word retainer in there? Can't they just
I
take
guess
that out?
perhaps retainer.
Maybe you might want to have Mr. Mancuso.
Yeah, actually, I would like to invite
John, I hate to say it,
Mr. Mancuso up, because of the
before we
appropriate
vote,
time.
if the other board members, Patty and I are going to have questions because we were through this process, but Councilman Kale, Councilwoman Nguyen, and Councilwoman Wright, as they discern their votes on this, it might be the horse's mouth. I hope you don't take that the wrong way, John.
No offense taken.
John Cahill.
I asked a question.
Mr. Mancuso. Mancuso, right?
Thank you, Supervisor. To answer your question, Councilman, the aggregate annual retainer language was added simply, as attorneys, we often refer to the agreements as retainer agreements, and in my experience with municipal representation, municipalities usually follow one of 2 frameworks. It's usually a retainer agreement based on a fixed amount billed on a 1/12 basis, once a month for 12 months, or an hourly rate. So each one of those fee structures was evaluated, but based on the RFP that was provided by the town of Webster. The intent of the engagement letter was to provide for a fixed fee agreement where the $145,000 is in the aggregate, meaning it covers town board, planning board, zoning board, essentially comprehensive representation of the town of Webster. There is no intention on the part of my firm to request upfront payment in the amount of $145,000. We would bill the 1/12th amount on a monthly basis consistent with the town's expectations for billing practices.
There's no verbiage in there that says it's not to exceed 145,000. It's understood, I guess, is what you're saying?
The intention was to fix it at 145,000 a year. I am more than happy to add language to that effect that it would not exceed $145,000 with respect to the scope of work that was responded to in the RFP. The only thing that would be outside of that would be separate engagements or matters that the town of Webster would ask the firm to undertake on the hourly basis that would be set forth in that agreement for $250.
To help with Councilman Cale's question,
I got my answer, I'm good.
You're
Thank
not
you.
gone yet, Charlie, you are our town attorney. What do we got here? Counsel us, is that pretty standard language? I mean, I think what Mr. Mancuso said is accurate, but.
Well,
I completely understand what he said. I don't need you to respond, Charlie. Thank you so
Okay.
much for
Ginny,
willingness to do that.
questions or
Well,
comments?
I want to make a point of order here for a minute. First, I wanted to thank Charlie for his, work and everything through the years, counseling us, and I want to thank the, selection committee. But as a member of the town board, I wanted to have an input on the decision for choosing our town legal service. There are some questions, but I apparently, I see the email sent out, that I wanted to ask before we vote. And again, number one, the town already have a law firm. If we are doing, if they are doing a good job, what is the emphasis, for switching? And number two, is this law firm that we are, going to be acquired is based out of Syracuse? And number three, how many lawyers do they have in Rochester office, and which one will represent our town? And number four, I know some of them you already, if you could please let me read through this. If the town is involved in the future litigation, would it cost us extra money for the legal service? Which you already said, I'm not done yet, wait a minute. Isn't it part of the negotiation, not only to get the best price, but to get the best qualifications for the town of Webster? I understand the selection committee interviewed numerous law firms, and I'm sure those law firms would be equally qualified. But the Marco and the law firm has a history with Webster, and they are currently advising the planning and zoning board. They understand our code and our systems that proved valuable in the future. And an example I'm going to give it out to people is a lot of people want to keep their own doctors because of the history and the relationship. They don't want to switch to a new doctor, even though someone say that doctor is pretty good. So therefore, I would make a motion to table us a couple weeks before I make,
You can't make that motion yet.
Okay.
And let us answer the questions, Ginny. All right, let's start with the first question.
So,
And you're gonna have to, just because you rattled off five. The first
Can you
question
repeat?
was,
We'll do them one at a time. So
Right.
the first question was?
yes, this town already have a law firm. If we already, happy with the way they do it, that they're doing a good job. So
Okay,
what
so
is the
it's-
emphasis of
Yeah, go ahead.
switching?
No, this town does not already have a law firm representing for general counsel. The reason for the switch is that Charlie Genesi is retiring, and the RFP committee is recommending that instead of having multiple representations, so instead of picking two different law firms to represent town board, planning board, zoning board, or a mix of W-2 employees and law firms, the RFP committee said that the best services would be delivered for the taxpayers in the town to have one firm doing it. So that's the reply.
To add to that answer, Charlie is a W-2 employee of the town of Webster. He's the town attorney. You also have your own firm. John DeMarco and Kyle Taylor have DeMarco Taylor, they have their own firm. They're also W-2 employees of the town of Webster for their positions. The aggregate of Charlie, John, and Kyle, I think, is around $138,000 a year. Our budget for 2025 is $165,000 for legal services, because we knew we would no longer have W-2 employees, because nobody came out of the woodwork to apply for these positions. So the law firm, their 145 at Mancuso Brightman is going to be $20,000 less than what we approved in our preliminary budget. Now I'm going to tell you, and we'll get into to question 2, Jenny, because we do have to protect the taxpayer money.
Understand?
All right? So I liked the 145. I said earlier, was it the low bid? You said no. I wasn't going to sit here tonight and actually talk about the 7 firms that applied, the 3 that were in the finals, and then Mancuso. John, you came, this is all foilable, whatever, so let's just get it out there. You bid $201,000. Their go to it is municipal law. There's not one mention of municipal law on their website. This committee, as far as I'm concerned, did our job. And we gave a recommendation that made sense fiscally to the town taxpayers, and also from a standpoint of who gave us the best chance going forward with the complexities that we have, who understands those, as Braden said. So that's question 1. Let's go to question 2.
Tom, can that be heard at some point? Because that's not the full story.
Let's go to question 2.
Okay, is this law firm based out of Syracuse?
Yes. They have offices in Syracuse and in Rochester. As far as where they're incorporated, I will defer to John Mancuso.
Thank you. The firm was founded in Syracuse, New York by my partner, Christy Brightman. I opened the Rochester office of the firm 5 years ago. We have, the majority of our attorneys are in the Rochester, New York office. Of all of our attorneys, there are only 2 that are currently sitting in Syracuse. Our entire municipal team, save one of our attorneys, who is our labor and employment attorney, is based in the Rochester office. All of the attorneys that would be representing the boards of the town of Webster are based in our Rochester office.
Thank you. Question 3.
Okay, how many lawyers do we have in, well, that you already, how many are they going to represent Webster?
So three attorneys from the Rochester office of Mancuso Brightman will represent Webster, and it'll be only those 3 attorneys, and they will each back each other up. So it will not be a rotating cast of characters. The zoning board will have the same attorney unless there's an illness or an absence. The planning board will have the same attorney unless there's an illness or an absence. And the town board will have the same attorney unless there's an illness or an absence. And that was part of their proposal, and that was an important factor why the RP committee was not interested in going with very large firms that have a rotating cast of characters.
Question 4.
So what, that's the question, that's the answer. The town, it said that if they are, future litigation, what you said it's going to be $200 an hour? For us to extra money for the legal services.
Yeah, and so that is the case today, and is the case with all 3 respondents. All 3 respondents, if there is litigation outside the scope of the general services, then those are billed individually per hour. So all respondents were equal in that way. 2 of the respondents were going to charge $250 an hour, and 1 respondent was going to charge $375 an hour or $300 an hour, depending on which attorney was doing the work.
So would it be like you have to keep, up to date with all our codes and everything else that happened to our town that we have, because there's a lot of changes and everything? And I know that we have, the DeMarco and Taylors, they are familiarized with our system here. And shouldn't there be a negotiation? Is that part of it? That's why we are in the government. We're supposed to negotiate to see what's best for our constituents, for our town.
with public procurement, there should be an open and fair and equal process. And so that is what the RFP was done. It let every interested party know the scope of work that the town was interested in and gave them an opportunity to ask clarifying questions and then issued answers to those clarifying questions. All of them were given an opportunity to submit their proposal, including their price, their proposal on how they would deliver the services, and their experience and expertise. The committee looked at those, selected the best 3, and then did finalists, and then unanimously selected who they thought was best. You know, and so even if price wasn't a factor, Mancuso Brightman was rated the best and was the first choice of every member of the RFP review committee.
Any other questions? Because I want Ginny to have a chance to. Jennifer, James.
Well, I don't have specific questions, but one of the things that I would like to do, especially now, given the way this conversation is going, I don't have input, and I would love to get input from the planning board and the zoning board in regards to the support they're receiving, and get an understanding of how the coverage they have today is working and how they would like to see this work. So that's why when I was coming in here tonight, I didn't have an opportunity to do that for this meeting. And given that, and we're voting tonight, I was inclined to want to table this matter to be able to go out and get more information that I wasn't able to get tonight before this meeting.
Totally understood.
And to that point, and I appreciate the RFP process, the hours that were put into it, those people that participated in it. I completely respect that. But Don White mentioned something that it's intangible, okay? What are some of the things that we get from the support of local attorneys? A great deal. I am most certainly a proponent of the trend for the last 40 to 50 years of the town being represented by local attorneys. I think we gain more than we lose, more than just, you know, the bottom line of the dollar. There is a significant amount of intangibles, okay? And that's why I am a proponent for local attorneys and not a law firm that may specialize in municipal law, because I would say that between Mr. DeMarco and the other attorneys, that they have a significant amount of experience. And don't interrupt me, please.
I won't.
So I also took the time to talk to the chairman, and he is very satisfied with the service he's getting from our 2 attorneys. So, you know, my vote's going to be no. I'm going to tell you that.
That's fine. And I just want to ask, are you saying that we will not, if we move forward in a month or so with DeMarco Taylor, which might happen?
Yeah.
Does Kyle Taylor not to get work on any of these boards because he lives in Victor?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, I just want.
You have my answer, Tom.
Local,
There it
okay.
is.
So, we are about to do the vote, and I just want to say 2 things. One, we were hoping to get this done when Charlie announced this back in June. We were hoping to get it done in October so we could have a ramp up with the new firm transitioning with Charlie, because that's what functional organizations do. They don't just jump on January 1st at a standstill. And so that's why we had October 3rd. But the good news is, from what you just heard tonight, that if there is going to be some contention on this being a positive vote, it's 3 months away from the beginning of the year. Ideally, I'd like the 3 months to get Charlie and the new firm and really start transitioning some of this stuff. But we can do it on October 17th, we can do it November 7th, we can do it November 21st, for all the reasons that everybody else said. The second thing, Charlie, am I right in saying that this would not be an abstain situation? Certainly, the town board members have been furnished a lot of information over the last 4 months. So abstaining is more for
You
like,
can't really abstain unless there's.
this is a yes or no vote.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
let her rip.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
I did make the motion, and I want to say I stand by that motion. I was part of the RFP committee, and I am confident in our choice. So my vote naturally is yes.
Supervisor Flaherty,
My vote is aye, yes.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Nay.
Councilman Cahill,
Nay.
Councilwoman Ray.
And since I can't abstain, I'm gonna have to say no because I would like more information.
That's a no. So,
No.
this one didn't pass, and we will bring it back on the 17th or November 7th or whatever. I don't know what it'll be.
So I have a question related to that.
But, you know.
I have a question related to that.
Sure,
Okay.
jump in.
So I take it because we have voted no on this, we're not going to bring the same letter of engagement up again for a second vote.
I don't know. What you might bring up
Charlie,
is, you know,
opine in on that? Is it legal to bring the same letter of engagement up again after the board has already voted no on it? With no modifications to this whatsoever?
As far as I know, yes, yes, you can.
Okay.
I guess I could look into it. I mean, this isn't similar to a judicial decision. It's a resolution.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Basically.
I got you,
bring it
right.
up.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
This is the beauty of a government. There were 5 votes. The majority has spoken. And over the next weeks and months, I'm sure people watching this or whatever, everybody might be contacted of why they voted the way they did. And
I have one other question
Do it.
to Charlie with respect to, you know, I know in the verbiage of the RFP, the candidates were barred from speaking directly to the board members. So I would assume that now that this has been voted down, the RFP process is no longer valid with respect to candidates contacting board members directly. Is that true or no?
Well, I guess looking at it, the RFP process is completed.
Okay.
it's long over, and I don't mean to jump in. Let's call a spade a spade here, right? Let's not beat around the bush.
I don't know.
The 3 board members who voted no have had interaction with DeMarco and Taylor, and that's fine.
You're absolutely
That's
dead
not
wrong
true.
on that. You are dead
That's
wrong
not
on that.
true.
And I'm offended you would make that insinuation.
Could I ask that we remain civil, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Then
I
I
make
apologize.
accusations without proof, because I did not do that, and I wouldn't do that.
And John had
Well, then
said
it
that-
might get worse, because whoever you did talk to that had influence on this might make it worse.
I don't even know where you're coming from with that one.
I've known you a long time, John. I don't think this is just suddenly out of the blue, that this 4-month process that we've gone through with so many other parties and leaders and whatever, that suddenly that it like, wow.
Don't make
look at all this.
accusations, Tom, like that, unless you can back it up, which you absolutely cannot, because it is not true.
Okay.
Okay, this is going nowhere.
So we're gonna
I'm
move
going
on to the next
I'm
resolution,
moving on
which
to
is
the
the
next
last one.
resolution, if we
And
could.
it's, I think, yours, Patty.
It is, and I would move that we approve the following items for recycle or auction from the sewer department. A lightning mixer, which is going to recycle, Generac generator auction, 3-phase automatic transfer switch auction, and compressor air is also going to auction.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Wynn. Aye. Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ray.
Aye.
And then our last one tonight is IT, so John, I'll have you do it.
So I would move that we approve the attached items for deletion from the IT department. There's a number of items on this, so I will not be reading it, well, I just refer to the list. So that's my motion.
I second it.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye?
Councilwoman Ray,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye.
And that concludes the formal part of the meeting tonight. Robust.
Yes. it
Let's
was.
do our round table. Geez, I'm gonna start over there. Brayden, are you talked out? Never. Is that on?
I don't, I guess it's not, we try this one. Yeah, we've been working on a performance evaluation process that includes employee input, and that's been progressing quite well. And we are getting ready for open enrollment coming up in the next month or so. And that's a little bit of update from Human Resources.
Thanks, Brayden. Art?
Thanks, Supervisor. A lot going on with the sewer department. Obviously, we have our construction project going on. That's a lot of guys working, a lot of staff working very hard from multiple different contractors. We have our conveyance pipe project underway. They're, at this point, still on schedule. I want to make the board aware of late this afternoon, they were excavating a existing manhole on Phillips Road. Once they get down to it, it's about 20 feet deep and it is cracked. So I just want to make everyone aware of that. We're going to get into that manhole tomorrow, doing a full evaluation with 2 engineering firms and see what comes of that. Also, our internal staff is preparing for winter, which is right around the corner. So we will do a lot of flushing, a lot of cleaning of pump stations, wet wells, things like that, to hopefully get all of our infrastructure through the winter okay and our residents through the winter okay. So busy times, but busy is good.
Thanks, Eric.
And by the way, Art, I just want to say thank you for taking my phone call during the week to answer the questions related to the Fairlife next steps. I appreciate it very much. And also for Rick had called me last week and answered some questions too. So I really appreciate both of your willingness to answer the questions that I derived from reading the contract and other documents that were supplied by our town supervisor to us. So
Absolutely, anytime. I mean, it's a lot to go through. It's a lot to deal with, and anything we can do to help clarify it. And thank you for understanding that sometimes we can't answer the question. We have to go to somebody else.
No, I absolutely understand.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
The 2025 budget public hearing is set for 2 weeks from tonight. That's October 17th at 7:30 p.m. Prior to that, at the workshop, that same evening, there'll be a presentation on the budget. So be sure to tune in for that, or feel free to attend the meetings. Thanks, Paul.
Jen?
Well, that was a lively meeting tonight, not one that I was necessarily prepared for coming in here. I have really nothing to add. I've been at home taking care of my parents, doing the best my sister and I to take care of my parents, and it's really been my focus for the last couple of weeks. And
It's very nice to see your mother in attendance today.
yes, she wanted to get out of the house, so she's here. I'm sure she's
Well,
dying
it wasn't
to-
boring, that's for sure.
dying to get
No.
out of here.
I wanted to keep you awake. Hey?
I have been working with the Webster Health Education Network and the Webster Police Department. Just a heads up, there's going to be a drug take-back event here at the court building on October 26th. That's a Saturday. Usually we do those between 10 and 2, and I will try to remember to make that announcement at our next meeting also, but give everybody a heads up to start collecting those unused medications at home and drop them off so that they're not sitting around the house where it's really not safe for them to be.
Patty, can I jump into that?
Yes.
And it's a great point, and I think was it Denise and Wen's started that years ago. You're absolutely right. It's not safe to have them around the house, but flushing them down the toilet is possibly even worse.
Well,
not worse.
it's interesting you say that because I contacted you 2 weeks ago. After my knee surgery, I went home and I was reading the post-op instructions once my head cleared. I actually read through all of them, and it said that, you know, there were places you could drop off medications, but if you couldn't access one of the bins, that you should flush them down the toilet. And I couldn't believe what I was reading. I said, you must be. So I sent it to Rick and said, this is insane. We have had the privilege of working with Dr. Katrina Korfmacher. She has done some testing. She's been integral in the testing of COVID in the wastewater, and she's an environmental PhD doc over at U of R. So she and I have been in contact, and we're going to be getting that language changed.
Yeah, and the reason behind that is that, you know, right now there is no technology or chemical that can pull those prescription drugs out of the water. So they dissolve and they go right through our treatment process and right into the lake, which we all know, there's your drinking water. So do not flush.
Is that how we end up with three-headed fish too? Or something?
That's it. That's exactly right. So do not flush your medications.
Yes.
Charlie?
This has nothing to do with town board, but just I found out today, I think a lot of us did, that Maplewood is rated as one of the #1 nursing homes in the country.
No kidding.
Yes. And
Wow.
I don't mean just one of like 1,000, one
Yeah.
of very few, one of the top 3 or 4 in the country.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's great to have that facility in town. And those of us that have availed it, know that they're happy.
Thank you for mentioning that, yes. I mean, I worked there for several years.
Yeah, she took care of my mother.
And I actually felt that I was privileged to be an employee there.
And the other thing is, happy Columbus Day. She's coming up a week from now.
Yeah. Jenny?
Well, first I want to congratulate to our wonderful Webster Library for 95 years of service to our community. And also, please come out and support our library and our museum. They exist because of you. Also, please come out and support our book sales for the library in October. And there are many exciting events will be happening in the Webster Village. For example, October 12th, there's going to be the health fair from 10 to 2, which I will be volunteer for the Webster Health Intervention Network for Janine Sega. And on October 12th, there can be a shaded event from 9 to 12 in the village of Webster as well. And October 16th, that's when the library, they have their book sales. I'm going to be volunteering for that as well, so please come out and support us. Thank you for all for coming out tonight, and have a good night, everybody. God bless America, too.
So I know that the roundtable is, primarily for local issues, but there are some states in this country to the south of us that have been completely and utterly devastated. I mean, towns washed away. There's thousands of people stranded in the Adirondack Mountains, and the response from ourselves, from our federal government, has been very, very late and poor. There are more private entities with helicopters flying in to rescue people than our federal government. So I guess my ask would be, keep these people in your prayers. There's multiple GoFundMe accounts that you can donate to help these people out, but they've been devastated.
Couldn't agree with you more. I was down in North Carolina, South Carolina last weekend, so it's minor stuff compared to some of the other things. And we're going to end the meeting.
I do not have any.
Because your taxes are all paid, right? All right, well, we will adjourn the meeting. Good night, everybody. So you'll take that. All right, that's super.
Hey, John.
We already talked about this. Believe it or not, what happens now?
That's what I call it. When you get a little